Some people have spent more time comparing microphones than they have spent developing the message of their podcast. Your listener will forgive an ordinary microphone. They will not forgive a confusing, boring, or directionless episode. In today's episode, I want to talk about the belief that I need better equipment before I can sound professional, before I can have a great podcast. Welcome to Podnovation podcast. My name is Wisdom Okonkwo, and I want us to understand that your microphone is not the reason your podcast isn't growing. Okay, your equipment, your podcast, your microphone, and researching. Oh, what's the best equipment to get? What's the best microphone to get? And it feels productive. Feels like you're doing the podcast work, but it's just a way to postpone the vulnerable work. Publishing your ideas and posting it out there. Speaking on camera, contacting guests, choosing a position or positioning your podcast, sharing your personal experience, asking people to listen. Sometimes the microphone is not the problem. It's the hiding place. And I know people say, oh yeah, well, my microphone is crap. Like, it's really terrible. I don't have a great microphone. Yeah. If you do have a device, and when I mean a modern device, you have a smartphone, a laptop, and you have a quiet room, you can get a good enough sound. Not a great sound, but a good enough sound to get started. And the reason I bring this up is that I've listened to podcasts that are great, but they were recorded outside. The whole idea of the podcast was the guy was moving or walking and then recording the podcast episode. And I still listen, and it was still a great podcast because the message, the delivery, the concept, the idea, it was just well fleshed out. And then there are shows that have great sound and mic, and I'm like, what's going on here? Okay. I want to explain how a listener thinks when they see a new podcast, because that would help you understand that you're using the microphone as an excuse for not showing up. You're using not having a microphone as an excuse for not showing up. You're using not having an expensive microphone as an excuse for not showing up. When a listener just lands on your podcast, they see it. The first question they ask is this relevant to me? And these questions are things that are happening in their mind. It's not like they're sitting there and asking them questions, but, in terms of automatic thought process, will I learn something? Do I trust this person? And this is very important. And that's why celebrities would have a terrible podcast cover art. The name of the podcast doesn't even communicate what the podcast is about. But because you know the celebrity and it's their podcast, you trust them because they've given you value in the past. That's okay. This will be valuable to me. I kind of like what they're all about. And so people listen despite the podcast not being packaged well. Okay. And then they click on the podcast. They're listening. I'm listening. The first 90 seconds. Is this conversation interesting? That's if it's an interview, which is most podcasts. But if it's a solo podcast, is it interesting? Okay. Do I care? Can I understand the audio? That's the first thing. Can I hear the audio? Can I understand? Is it clear? Okay. Should I return for another episode? And so if I get value from this episode, that's what's going to determine if I'm coming back for the next episode. Of course, the audio has to be clear. But if you are in a quiet room, then you would have clear audio. And you're like, oh, you could record on a closet, you could record at night and have a quiet room. If you have kids, you record at night, they're all asleep, and you have the house to yourself. Looking for mic, trying to say, okay, if I get a mic, my mic is not great, that's why my podcast is not doing well, is a symptom of an underlying issue. Your show has weak positioning, generic topics, long introductions, poorly prepared interviews, no episode structure, inconsistent publishing, no promotion, no next step for listeners, a podcast disconnected from the business. It's not connected. It's there. And the list goes on and on and on. Instead, what you want to focus on, and of course, having a mic is, good, but it doesn't change anything. What you want to focus on is the 6 core important things. That is, what's my message? What's the valuable idea I'm communicating? Why should they even listen? Why should they even care? What's the structure? Can people follow the episode? I mean, I do have a message, but can they follow? Can they get value from it? Is this position structured in a way that people can easily consume it? And then the next thing is the delivery. Am I speaking clearly? Am I speaking confidently? Am I communicating the idea? Am I expressing myself in a way that people can understand? The environment, so you want to look like environment. Am I recording in a quiet room? I do have a mic though, even though I'm telling you that your microphone does not matter. The reason I bring this up is that a lot of people start a podcast, did they want to start a podcast, but like, oh, I don't have a great microphone. I didn't have a great microphone when I started. That's one thing. And even though I have a great microphone, if my room is very noisy, this microphone is no use. Okay. But if I don't have a microphone, I decide to use just my laptop audio, it will still sound great. It's not gonna be great. It's gonna be good enough. Okay. And that's what you need to get started. You want to use what you have to get started where you are. Okay. And then when you do look at the environment, is the room quiet? Is the room free from echo? And then you can record, no disturbance, it's quiet, no distraction. And the next thing is, what's the equipment? Is the basic setup reliable? Can I use to record and record well? Okay. And then the next is the production. Is the final episode clean and professionally packaged? And the thing here is that even if you have a basic device to record, you can use some tools like a phonic, and most of the tools will allow you to do the studio sound option. So that way to allow your audio to like sound a little bit studio sound. Okay. So I just mentioned 6 things: the message, structure, delivery, environment, equipment, and production. And most people are like, oh, my equipment, I need to get a mic, I need to get a setup, I need to get a mic stand. And I get where this is coming from. The most of the podcasts you watched, it's from people in studio and with a round table and a long mic close to the mouth. And you're like, oh yeah, I mean, this is what I've been saying. So if I'm going to start a podcast, I have to start that. And then there are a lot of podcasts where most of the episodes are recorded in the wardrobe, where the host literally goes into the wardrobe, will close in it, and they record with their phone or the device, and they talk about it. And that's how an episode is recorded. So yeah, and then if you're doing video, with most devices, if you face a window with direct sunlight, you get a clear enough video. The core thing is the message, is the story. And so you want to get clear, clean sound. Now, most of the questions and the reasoning behind I need to get a great sounding mic that costs $500, which is stopping most podcasters, most potential podcasters from starting. Most people, business owners that have a message to share, from sharing that message. Is like, oh, I want to sound professional. I want it to be perfect. I have a certain standard, which I completely understand. But I want you to see it this way. Professionalism is not owning the most expensive equipment. Professionalism is consistently delivering a valuable experience. Okay. And the question you should be asking yourself is, how do I do that? And I just answer those questions with this episode. So use the equipment you have to create your first version, then upgrade based on the reproduction need, not insecurity. Not because everybody you're seeing doing a podcast, they're using this big mic, so I have to get that mic. Yeah. And if you want to work with us, you can click on the link in the description to book a call, and we can help create your podcast and package it in a way that allows you to show up without spending on your time or spending your time running a podcast. I'll put the link in the description, and I'll see you in the next episode.